Begin the exposed zipper by making sure that your zipper has been prepared with the top stop and that you zip that all the way up. Fold your square of fabric in half and finger press roughly the center of your sample. Open the sample and then place your zipper tape so that the top of the tape is lining up with the top of the fabric. Next, you're going to mark or just eyeball where 1/4 of an inch above the bottom stop of your zipper is. Now, using a ruler and chalk, you're going to mark a straight line down to that 1/4 inch above your bottom stop. And if you would like, you can measure up from that 1/4 inch mark. And then you're going to be putting a 1/2 inch measurement. So 1/4 inch on either side of the straight line for a 1/2 inch total. 1/4 inch to the left of the line, 1/4 inch to the right of the line. Next, mark 1/4 inch above that line that you just drew. And then you're going to connect the dots to create a triangle from the original 1/2 inch line that you drew to the 1/4 inch line. So we've just got a little triangle. So you have the straight line and the triangle. Next, now lay the zipper on the fabric as it will be when it's finished. Unzip the zipper, and then you're going to flip it so that the coil is facing away from that line. So when you flip this, the edge of the tape should be lining up with that straight line that you just drew. Make sure that the coil is not on that side, otherwise you won't be able to unzip and zip your zipper. Pin the top, bottom, and if you'd like, you can pin the center of your sample so that the edge of the zipper tape is in line with that straight edge. And then once you've got everything pinned, you can head on over to your sewing machine and make sure that you have the narrow split foot on your machine. Now, remove the first pin and begin with the back stitch so that the right edge of the presser foot is butting up against the right edge of the coil of the fabric. Of the zipper, the coil of the zipper. So basically you're stitching down the center of the zipper. Once you get close to the bottom, you can pivot your fabric with the needle in the fabric so that your zipper can go all the way up. And then you're going to stitch until that 1/4 inch above the bottom stop. And if you peek underneath your fabric, you're going to be able to see where that line ends. So it's going to be that bottom line underneath your triangle. Feel free to pin this, or you can look underneath the zipper to make sure that you have stitched down the correct amount. Next, we are going to be cutting the line that we drew, as well as 2 of those angles to the triangle. Do not cut the triangle apart. So first you're going to cut down that first edge, trying not to cut the zipper tape, but where you will be cutting is really close to that zipper tape. And then once you get to the point, that peak of the triangle, stop. And then you are going to clip both angles of that triangle. And so now you're going to have a little triangle flap, and you have cut down the center line of your fabric. Now, if you lay the fabric with the right sides facing up, you'll see that you've got the straight edge of your zipper. Go ahead and unzip that. And then if you pivot the fabric around, you'll see that you're going to be able to pivot it so that the edge of the zipper tape can line up with the raw edge of the line that you just cut, the other line that you just cut. So now you're going to line up the tops of your zipper tape and the top of the fabric and place a pin in. And note that sometimes it's easier if you flip this over so that you have the fabric side facing and the zipper side down. Either way is just fine, but you'll see why it might be beneficial to do it the other way. But you can certainly try either way. Now when we open this, we can kind of see what the zipper is going to look like, and we're going to see where that little triangle flap is going to be coming down. Next, head on over to your sewing machine and make sure that you still have that narrow split foot on, and start at the top of your seam allowance, beginning with a backstitch. Make sure once again that you're butting up the right edge of the presser foot with the coil of the zipper. Roughly this will be the center of your zipper. Remove the pins as you go, and then the goal is to try to stitch down so that you're lining up your stitches on the right and left side of the zipper. You're going to zip up the zipper and feel free to wiggle this around so that you can get that zipper. Sometimes the zipper gets caught in the fabric, and that's okay. You just have to unzip it a little bit and then zip it back up. And then make sure that you're only stitching on the zipper and the seam allowance. And this, I've got my fabric folded a little bit, and so that might be a bit confusing. Just make sure that you're only stitching the seam allowance and the zipper. And then you're going to try to stitch all the way down. Now I want to show you what it looks like when you do not stitch both of the sides all the way down and why that can be problematic. So if you can see, the left side is a little bit higher than the right side. So if I flip this over, I can see that there's going to be a little bit of a pucker. So in order to eliminate that, if I flip over the fabric so that I'm going to be stitching on the fabric side with the zipper tape, I can see how far I need to go down until I reach that point where the first edge of the cut triangle happens. So you can stitch almost all the way off of the fabric onto the tape, and that should make it so that your edges are lining up. At the iron, you're going to be pressing the seam allowance so that it is going away from the zipper, and then we're going to fold that little triangle down, and we're going to be stitching that in place. So you can kind of see where that line is supposed to go, and you can press the triangle flat if you need to. And then when we fold it over, we can press the triangle fold area down so that it stays in place. And we can also unzip the zipper so that we are pressing the fabric away from the zipper tape so that there aren't any bubbles or tucks. And the next thing that we're going to be doing is moving over to the machine for some top stitching. You can have the zipper zipped up all the way at this point. So now fold up your fabric and make sure that that little triangle is peeking down. And then right where the triangle is meeting the fold of the fabric, you're going to be doing a little stitch and then a back stitch to hold that in place. Clip your threads. And then we're going to move on to top stitching all the way around the zipper. So I'm going to start on the left side of the zipper, and I'm going to make it so that the right edge of the narrow split foot is lining up with the edge of the turn of the fabric. So about 1/8 of an inch top stitch. Feel free to use the edge foot on your Bernina machine if that works better for you. And then once you get down to the bottom, you're going to go 1/8 of an inch below where the zipper tape ends. And then you're going to top stitch over that little triangle that you had. Go over 1/8 of an inch again on the other side. And then you'll be stitching up 1/8 of an inch all the way to the top. If it's helpful for you to use chalk and mark that measurement, you can do that as well. Once you get to the top, end with a back stitch, clip your threads, and you can head back over to the iron for one final press, and you have now completed your exposed zipper sample.